There is a primal urge within us, a deep-seated desire to connect with the wild, to bridge the gap between our world and theirs. We see it in the stories of people who open their homes and their hearts to creatures often deemed untamable. They believe in a unique bond, a trust forged through care and affection, a belief that love can conquer instinct. But sometimes, that belief is shattered, revealing the raw, untamed power that lies beneath the surface. A power that can turn a beloved companion into an unimaginable threat. These are the stories of those who dared to bring the wild into their lives, only to face its most brutal, unforgiving truth. On a quiet morning in Žižkov, Czech Republic, Michael Prosk, a man of 34 years, walked into his pet lion's cage. It was March the 5th, 2019, and this routine feeding was a ritual he had performed countless times before, a familiar moment of connection with the magnificent beast he considered his own. But that morning, the male lion, without any warning, turned on him. Hours later, around 7 o'clock in the morning, Michael's father went to check on his son. What he discovered inside that locked enclosure was a scene of unspeakable horror. Michael's lifeless body and two powerful lions still prowling. The cage had been locked from the inside, a tragic testament to Michael's voluntary entry and his ultimate entrapment. Police arrived, confronting an impossible situation. To recover Michael's body, they were left with no choice but to shoot both animals. A police spokesman later confirmed the grim necessity of their actions. The tragedy was compounded by another heartbreaking detail. The lioness was pregnant. This incident transcended personal loss. It ignited a national conversation, compelling the Czech government to reconsider the very laws governing the ownership of dangerous animals. Just 2 years earlier, on August the 25th, 2017, in Churchcrook, Hampshire, 31-year-old Dan Brandon was in his bedroom, surrounded by the reptiles he had dedicated 16 years of his life to. 10 snakes, 12 tarantulas, they were his world. Downstairs, his parents were preparing dinner when a loud crash echoed from his room. They called out, but there was no answer. Around 7:15 in the evening, his mother went to check. She found Dan lying face down on the floor, cold to the touch. His 8-foot African rock python, Tiny, was missing from her tank. Paramedics were called, but it was too late. Tiny was later discovered coiled under a box, a silent, deadly witness. The autopsy revealed the chilling truth. Dan had died from strangulation. Bleeding behind one eye, burst blood vessels, swollen lungs, all the hallmarks of a struggle, yet no bite marks. A coroner suggested Tiny had likely wrapped around Dan during normal handling, or perhaps out of fear, leading to an accidental, fatal embrace. A snake expert confirmed that while these pythons can recognize their owners, they ultimately act on instinct. The unpredictability of instinct struck again on March the 20th, 2017. Mario Paravotos, 41, was at his London home, a BBC film crew documenting his life. His Staffordshire Bull Terrier, Major, was by his side. Mario had no idea that in mere moments, Major would turn deadly. Suddenly, violently, Major attacked, right in front of the cameras. The dog crushed Mario's throat, inflicting terrible neck injuries. The film crew, desperate to intervene, could do little against the swift, brutal assault. Mario lost a catastrophic amount of blood. Rushed to the hospital, he succumbed to his wounds. Major was taken away and put down. The inquest that followed revealed a shocking possibility. The dog had likely ingested crack cocaine, a terrifying explanation for its sudden, insane aggression. The coroner's words were stark. Mario Paravotos' death was caused by his own dog. In 2004, Mark Fogel lived a solitary life in his small Dartmouth apartment, surrounded by his collection of over 200 spiders and insects. Among them was Bettina, a deadly black widow spider. Mark, who was 30 years old, was an expert, but one day something went terribly wrong. Bettina bit him. The black widow's venom is 15 times stronger than a rattlesnake's. Alone, with no one to help, the poison swiftly paralyzed him. Weeks passed. Neighbors noticed Mark's absence, assuming he was away. Then a foul odor began to emanate from his apartment. When police finally forced their way in, they discovered a scene of unimaginable horror. Mark's dead body lay amidst his collection, his hungry pets having begun to consume him. Spiders crawled from his nose and mouth. Lizards had torn away larger pieces of flesh, carrying them back to their webs. Spiders had even built nests the size of bird nests in the ceiling, all illuminated by a disturbing green glow from the open cages and tanks. It was a macabre tableau, a chilling testament to a life consumed by its passions and ultimately by its pets. The allure of the wild, even in hybrid form, proved fatal for Sandra Piovas. On July 17, 2006, in Salem Township, Pennsylvania, Sandra, who was 50, entered the pen of her 9 wolf-dog hybrids. For 10 years, she had been keeping and breeding these animals, believing she understood them. She would never make it out alive. Her daughter, Crystal, grew worried when Sandra missed their breakfast. Crystal went to her mother's house, only to find her dead inside the animal pen. A horrific scene of multiple bite wounds and cuts. Sandra had bled to death. When police arrived, the wolf dogs were aggressive, moving in unison along the fence line, ready to attack. To safely retrieve Sandra's body, officers had to drug and then kill all 9 animals. The autopsy confirmed the tragic truth. Sandra had died from injuries inflicted by her own pets, likely within minutes of the attack starting. It was later revealed that Sandra had been calling her hybrids regular dogs to circumvent exotic animal laws as she lacked the proper license. Animal control officers had warned her repeatedly about the dangers of keeping hybrid wolves, but their warnings had gone unheeded. The incident ignited a fierce debate, leading to urgent calls for stricter regulations on owning wolf-dog hybrids and other exotic animals. On October 4th, 2009, Kellyanne Waltz, a 37-year-old mother of 2, entered the cage of her pet black bear, Teddy, to clean it. This routine, performed thousands of times on her Ross Township, Pennsylvania property, was usually preceded by a trick, throwing dog food to one side to distract the 350-pound bear. It had always worked. This time, it did not. Teddy turned on Kellyanne and attacked. Her young children witnessed the horror, running terrified to their neighbor, Scott Castone, for help. Scott, a schoolteacher, rushed to the property, gun in hand. He found Teddy on top of Kellyanne, who lay motionless. As Teddy moved towards him, Scott had no choice. He shot the bear, killing it. He then called 911, but it was too late for Kellyanne. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The aftermath revealed that Kellyanne's permits for exotic animals had expired over a year before the attack, adding another layer of tragedy to an already devastating loss. In November 2011, Marius L., a 40-year-old former Army major, went to check on Humphrey, his pet hippo, on his 400-acre farm in Free State, South Africa. Marius had raised Humphrey from a baby, rescuing him from a flood years earlier. He would often ride on the hippo's back, feed him apples, and even brush his teeth, convinced that Humphrey would never harm him. His neighbors, however, were not so sure. They had seen Humphrey chase golfers on a nearby course and heard reports of him killing farm animals. Earlier that year, Humphrey had chased a man and his grandson in a canoe, forcing them to climb a tree and wait 2 hours until Marius arrived with an apple to lure the hippo away. When Marius did not return from checking on Humphrey, his family went looking. They found his dead body in the very river where he had saved Humphrey years before. Paramedics noted multiple bite wounds. Marius had often declared, "Humphrey is like a son to me. People do not get it. I have a relationship with the most dangerous animal in Africa." His wife, Louise, had always harbored deep worries about keeping such a perilous creature. The unexpected can lurk even in the most familiar of settings. On September the 26th, 2012, Terry Vance Garner, a 69-year-old Vietnam War veteran, went to feed his pigs on his Oregon farm. It was a daily ritual, one he had performed for years. He had no idea he was walking into a death trap. When Terry's family later went searching for him, they discovered a horrifying scene in the pig pen. Only Terry's teeth and small fragments of his body remained. The rest had been consumed by his pigs, many of them massive, weighing over 700 pounds. Pigs with their powerful jaws and strong teeth are known to eat meat. Police were called, but the bizarre circumstances made it difficult to determine the exact sequence of events. The district attorney speculated Terry might have suffered a heart attack, causing him to fall and become easy prey. The other possibility was that the animals had deliberately knocked him down. A doctor could not definitively conclude the cause of death, and even after further tests, a clear answer remained elusive. The bond between a person and their dog is often considered sacred, a symbol of unconditional love. But for Bethany Lynn Stevens, that bond turned into a nightmare. On December the 14th, 2017, Bethany, 22, went to walk her 2 pit bulls in Goochland County, Virginia, a route she had taken countless times. When her father went looking for her, he found a scene that would haunt him forever. Bethany's body on the ground, her 2 pit bulls standing over her, aggressive and protective, preventing anyone from approaching. Her father had to call the police. Officers arrived to find the dogs still fiercely guarding Bethany. They had to wait, carefully planning before they could reach her. The autopsy confirmed the horrific truth. Bethany had died from terrible injuries inflicted by her own dogs. Wounds on her arms showed she had fought desperately. The sheriff described it as a horrible mauling. No criminal charges were filed. It was ruled a tragic accident. Both pit bulls were put down with the family's permission. Finally, on April the 17th, 2019, Pat McDonald, 47, went to feed his pet wapiti on his property in Moihu, Victoria, Australia. He had raised the deer-elk mix for 6 years. It was mating season, a time when male wapiti become intensely territorial and aggressive. As Pat entered the pen, the animal charged, using its antlers like weapons, stabbing and trampling him. His wife, Mandy, heard his screams and rushed outside. As she tried to save her husband, the wapiti turned on her, knocking her to the ground and severely injuring her. Their son, hearing the commotion, ran out, grabbed a log, and fought off the enraged animal, saving his mother's life. Pat died at the scene. Police arrived and shot the wapiti dead. Mandy, though seriously injured, survived. These stories, each a profound tragedy, serve as a stark reminder of the delicate balance between human desire and the untamed spirit of the wild. They speak to the inherent dangers of underestimating nature, even when we believe we have tamed it, and the heartbreaking consequences when instinct overrides affection. They force us to confront the question, where do we draw the line between companionship and control? And what price are we willing to pay for that connection?